Welcome back to Compensation Matters. This is the third episode in our Mastering the Compensation Treadmill series, where we explore how you can make your compensation management not only smoother but smarter too. In our first episode, we went over cost effective and overarching strategies that can slow down the compensation treadmill and balance the workload of your comp admin team. In our second episode, we walked you through a very simple and easy to manage template for those of you who use spreadsheets to manage your compensation, or for those who are trying to transition into a new tool or a new technology like SPM. But what if you already have a SPM tool and you're not getting the result you were promised? I'm thrilled to have Anne Soash back with us today to answer this question. Through her experience in banking and financial industry, she will help us uncover potential issues that can help hold your SPM back, as well as strategies and best practices to make it into a well-oiled machine for optimal results. Hi, Anne. Thank you for being here. Very excited to start this discussion with you.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here and to dive into how plan design and system design can create some of these issues.
As you mentioned, plan design is one of the key areas that companies usually have problems with. Can you explain for us what are some common reasons that the comp plan design can hold back your SPM tool?
Yes. So, one reason that I frequently see is that leadership feels they need to use the incentive plan to pay for everything that the sales rep is responsible for. However, in the end, this often drives complexity. In one example, we had an incentive plan that had 7 different incentive metrics. As you can imagine, the sales reps were a little confused. Where should they focus their time? They really didn't even understand how the plan worked and operated and truly what drove their payment. And so we worked with leadership to redesign the plan and really ensure we are honing in on what ultimately is going to drive the right results. And so when we looked at the items in the plan, we wanted to make sure that leaders could differentiate between what's, just foundational items that truly don't need to be in the compensation plan. There's not the ability to go above and beyond. It's kind of a basic expectation. So things like attendance at work or meetings with clients. And then from there, once we kind of ruled out those types of metrics, we looked at, okay, which ones are the important ones for the employees to go above and beyond, such as sales units and customer experience. And we designed the incentive plan around those metrics, truly limiting it down to around 3 metrics, which is a key best practice. I would say no more than 5 metrics in an incentive plan, but if you can keep it down to 3, it definitely helps to simplify and helps employees understand how they're being paid.
I couldn't agree more. I think having clear expectations and those tangible metrics not only saves the compensation admin team hours of investigating tickets and complaints, but it also reduces the dissatisfaction of the sales team and the high turnover that nowadays companies see a lot. Another issue that I think is very common is that incentive plans often are not aligned with the company's overarching goals. As a result, the sales rep, they will follow their compensation plan, they will get compensated for it, but the business is not generating revenue as we expect it to. Have you ever witnessed this in your past experiences, and what is the best way to ensure we avoid this situation?
Yes, it is. It's definitely the worst situation when you have a sales comp plan that is paying out well, but the business is not doing well. So you have that misalignment. So there's one time I worked on a redesign of an incentive plan where one of the main metrics was the number of calls made to clients. So, yep, you can see it coming already. We had a lot of employees making outbound calls, but there was no tie to the outcome, right? Did they close the deal? Did they not close the deal? easy to measure, right? You have an outbound dialer, so you can measure the number of calls, make sure they last at least 30 seconds. So it's not like they're just calling and hanging up on somebody, but it's not truly measuring the actual result of was there a closed deal. And so, the business at that time truly just didn't have a way to connect the outbound call to the closed deals. So we worked with them, we worked with technology to improve their measurement system, make sure we could really connect those dots, and was able to transition the incentive plan to incent the employees based on the closed deals instead of just how many calls can you dial in a day. And then we started to get that outcome, and that alignment between the business strategy and the incentive plan in place.
Mhm. So how can a company improve their measurement system, and also what are other things they can follow to have an effective compensation plan design?
Yeah, so a couple best practices here. First, in the plan document, you need to make sure the performance metrics are very clearly defined. And then the SPM system needs to ensure that the data source is aligned to the definition of the metric. In one example I dealt with, there was not a great quality definition initially for the referral, and it led to multiple plan participants manipulating the results, which that does happen in incentive plans. It's important to always be aware and be looking for it and closing those loopholes. In this case, we had multiple employees that had figured out that you could refer a client to another area, that that area could refer it back to you. You could both get referral credit. Everybody wins, right? Well, except we're at this point overpaying for the referrals. So, as we saw that coming through in the data and we uncovered the issue, we worked with technology and we developed a better quality definition saying only the first employee to refer that customer would get that credit. Once we had that established, technology built that rule into the system, and we got, we had a much better quality definition and could ensure we're paying the appropriate employee and we're not overpaying for that referral. Another example of inadequate performance metrics is when the employee doesn't actually have control over the result of the metric. One plan I was working with, it was profit-based because ultimately the company has to care about the profit on each deal. However, in this case, the employees did not have any control over the expenses for that account. And so it was very deflating as they'd think, oh, I sold this big deal, it should be great. And then they'd get their incentive payout and they'd be like, wait, I didn't, and basically didn't get anything for that. Other times it could be more than they expected, just because the expenses could vary that much and they just had no visibility into it up front before the deal was made. So we actually worked with this business, though, to come up with kind of a historical rate, expense rate to apply to the profit. And so instead of using the, kind of that after the fact one, this really helped even it out for employees. Employees were paid based on profit minus an average expense rate. So we know we still had the right margin, but employees knew what to expect. They knew that they would be rewarded for this sale. And it helped really, motivate the employees more, knowing that they truly had control over the result of that. And so overall, if I'm to summarize those two best practices, you need to ensure your metrics are designed to measure quality outcomes that are in control of the employee and aligned to the business strategy.
It seems to me that when it comes to compensation plan design, you really have to have a bird eye view of what the company, what's the ultimate goal of the company, what is required from the sales team to reach that goal, and choose the metrics in a way that truly illustrate how the sales team needs to perform in order to reach those set goals for the sales team. Another common issue, another common area that we see among companies is within their system design. They usually have some very fundamental issues in system design. For example, take data integration. We all know that it's very crucial, and if we don't get it right, it's like building a house on a shaky foundation. It can look very impressive from outside, but with the smallest trigger, it can collapse at any second. In your experience, how can a company know what are the signs that can tell them the issue is within their system rather than their plan design or other areas?
Yes. So as we discussed in episode 1, a lot of it comes down to data accuracy. And is the data coming into the system as accurate as it needs to be? And so that, employees don't have to submit adjustments saying, hey, I didn't get credit for that deal, or I should have split credit for that deal. And so it is important to really take a look at your data. How many adjustments is that comp admin team making? On which metrics are they making it? And so that you could work with technology to really source accurate data so that the employees don't have to worry about, is the data coming in accurate? It comes in right the first time. They can focus on selling. And then that really frees up your comp admins as well, not having to process adjustments like that. And if you can't get the data accurate through technology, then it's best to look at redesigning the metric and see if there's another way you can approach the metric that would reduce the amount of work on everybody in order to make sure that the results are accurate.
Most studies around SPM, also almost all the solution providers and consultancies, they all agree that training and enablement is one of the crucial steps to get the most out of your SPM technology. And this enablement, it's not only limited to the end user, it's also for the compensation administration team as well. In your experience, what is the best way that a company can ensure they're performing this step successfully?
So ideally, your SPM system is designed in such a way that it's intuitive for sales reps as they get into the system, right? They come into a dashboard, they clearly can see how they're being paid, why they're being paid that much. They can drill down into the detail if needed. And it almost doesn't need as much explanation and training when you have it designed well. If your team is unsure how to leverage an SPM system to make it intuitive, then there's quite a few consultants who specialize in configuration that can really help you with that. Or another option is actually to use the vendor themselves to get ideas in terms of how you can kind of improve the design of the look and feel to make it more intuitive. And then it's always important too, when you're implementing a new system, to make sure you're training the employees on it, make sure that they're comfortable getting into the system, navigating, and then make sure you have a plan for new hires. Right? It's not just a one-time training. Anytime there's new hires, they need to be taught the system. And honestly, it's a good way to help them understand the incentive plan by walking them through the system so they can kind of see the results, see what it looks like, and help to better understand how they're being rewarded for their work.
Yes, I completely agree. Have you ever witnessed sales teams or sales representatives resisting any change to the system or transitioning into a new system?
Yes, it's very common, right? Nobody likes change. Oh, I have to learn a new system. It's going to take me forever. They don't want to take time out of their busy day. They already have so much on their plate. However, I find as you implement SPM systems, especially if they're well designed and intuitive, it's actually so easy. My favorite implementation was once we gathered a group of sales reps onto the Zoom call so that we could teach them how to use the system. We spent the first 5 to 10 minutes just getting everybody on the call, helping them find the email that had the link to the system. However, once they got in the system, they were off and running. They had no questions. They understood exactly how to navigate. They understood what the system was telling them because it was very clear and intuitive. And, they could drill down into the data. They could easily tell how they were being paid. We wrapped up the call in 15 minutes with almost no questions. And we were talking to the managers afterwards. And the managers were even in shock in terms of how easy it was and how well their team understood the system, really just after they clicked on the link and got into it for the first time.
That's very interesting. We also see this resistance in the comp administration teams. And I mean, it's understandable. They know a system already very well, they know ins and out of it. And now they have to learn something from scratch, and they know the end users are also learning this new system. And until they do, a lot of questions and requests will come their compensation admin team way. And in the end, they're also very involved in the implementation and the testing phases. So there's a lot on their plate when a company decides to transition into a new system. You've been through all of this. In your experience, what's the best way to make this easier for all the stakeholders involved?
Yes, and the comp admin team by far can put up the most resistance because it does upend their world, right? Totally different process, totally different systems. And so it's important to bring them along for the journey, even through the tool selection, so they can understand, the additional features and functions that the tools have that actually is going to make their life easier. Because ultimately, that's what you're going for as you're implementing an SPM. How do you really streamline your processes, decrease the workload, make it easier for the comp admin team, for leadership as well, and of course the employees that are being paid through the system. And so really making sure they understand the benefits up front, but also making sure you get a demo for leadership and for the comp admin teams early. Even if you don't have your incentive plan configured yet, you can use a generic incentive demo, but just to show them the system and help them understand kind of the benefits of it and how easy it is to use. Just seeing often helps them kind of relax a little bit and understand that, okay, wait, this might actually be better in the long run. Just need to get through this transition before you get to that point.
Mm-hmm. I would say if your company is doing everything for training and enablement correctly, and you're still seeing resistance, the problem might be the solution itself. That might be a sign from your team that this new solution is not helping them. It's not meeting the business needs. The reports, they don't show those key metrics that your managers or your pays care about. Um, you know, in in this field, like if we look at the top 5 solutions in the market right now, each of them have some differences, and each of them are geared toward uh, some specific type of challenges or kind of clients. For example, some of them are geared more towards enterprise level, or some are more structured. They have built-in logics, making it very easy to set them up and run with it. But maybe if you're a company having complex requirements like a large insurance company, that might not be the best solution for you. And what's the first thing an organization need to look at when they're evaluating a technology?
Yeah. And so whether you already have a technology or whether you're looking to get one, it is really critical that you understand that kind of the needs and where your company is at on their incentive journey. You know, does your company need a lot of flexibility to be able to quickly make changes? Or, the level of complexity of plans too also matters in terms of how much how much complexity of the calculations and the formulas and kind of the interaction of the data is needed. So there are a lot of great vendor solutions out there that, like you were just saying, they kind of fit the bill differently for different companies depending on where you're at in your life cycle or the complexity of your company. So it is good to review every few years and make sure the technology you're using is still fitting what you need now. And, if not, then there are some third party groups that will help you really understand what else is out on the market. How do you want to, is it worth making a change? Is there that return on investment to further upgrade your technology so that you have the flexibility needed to meet your business needs?
Thank you so much, and it was a very insightful discussion. Do you have any final advice for our audience?
I think it's just so important to keep in mind that there is no silver bullet with incentives that solves all the design problems or the system problems. Truly, it's an iterative process over time. Just got to keep taking steps forward, continuing to improve and enhance, and you start to see those great results in the incentive plan effectiveness and ensuring it's aligned to business strategy. So I hope this has been insightful, and I greatly appreciate you having me back to discuss this.
Thank you. And thank you for watching Compensation Matters. We've created a summary of all the challenges and the best practices that we discussed today. You can download it from the link in the description. Our next series will be live very soon. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can also subscribe to our email list to be the first to know about our new episodes. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Thank you.